them, as long as they don't physically try to harm him, he ain't got any problems with them. Once they're cool, he's cool. He'll run around and play with them. But the best way to describe his temperament is he's like truly, when you think of a balanced dog, like his picture would be beside it, per se. Man, that's pretty much it, man. Everybody thinks he's great, man. He's super stubborn. Like I mean super, and I don't even like use the word stubborn. I'll tell people like a dog is headstrong or something like that. But yeah, Roman's stubborn. He looks fine because, like again, like I stay on top of him. If I let him get away with a little inch, he's gonna take that a mile, and he's gonna not listen 5 times later or anything like crazy stuff like that.
And you said you rescued him, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How old was he when you rescued him?
12, 14 weeks.
Okay. All right. So one thing that I do notice about a lot of people, and I'm glad you mentioned the rescue part, there's this conversation between adopt and shop, right? And it's preference, but if you adopt, cool. If you want to buy a dog, just so you can know where it comes from, air quote, that's cool too. The thing about rescuing a dog is you don't know the background of this dog. All right, so you have to be able to communicate effectively with the dog, right? So let's say you do have a strong-willed or headstrong puppy that comes into your house and immediately grabs a pair of shoes that you got sitting at the door. What's your initial reaction, Chris? Because you don't have a dog, right? So tell me, like, you just got a pair of Louboutins or something like that, and they sitting at the door, and you got a puppy that walks up and just grabs your shoe and take off running. What's in your first initial instinct? What are you going through? What's in your mind?
He takes. I mean, I'm gonna chase and get my shoe back, so he don't like. I guess tear it up. But
Okay.
I wouldn't know how to. Honestly, I would come to you and ask you like what I'm supposed to do about that. Like,
Okay.
do I just give him something else to chew on to play with, or do I discipline him and tell him not to do that? But I know puppies start to chew up stuff, so honestly, I would just run, grab it, and probably just give him something else. I guess in that moment, probably.
Okay. What if it's let's say he grabs hold of to one of your inputs to your keyboard.
I'm
Right.
immediately, yeah.
Now, how do you feel?
I mean, both. Well, the shoes, I'm probably a little bit more upset. The inputs, I'm a little nervous because I don't want him to something
Like,
happen to
electrocute
him. But
down.
either way, I'm grabbing him and getting it and removing him.
Okay. Also, some dogs consider some of these things games. So Charlie is a big playful doodle. Y'all don't know Charlie. Charlie's out front. This is Dave Ron's dog. But doodles in general have a really high play state, right? So imagine, Dave Ron, you were to go grab or chase after Charlie with a shoe in his mouth, he's going to run away from you, right? All right. So what we're going to do today is talk about how to get your dog to pretty much respond to who you are, and that requires you to be a certain type of individual. Okay. First of all, your consistency plays a huge role in how your dog views you as their pack leader. Okay. If you come home from work and you're stressed out, so anybody here military, prior military? All right. Law enforcement. All right. So we have law enforcement. Let's use that, right? Let's say we had a rough day in the street, right? And we come home, and let's say Diesel had something going on today, and you left him out on accident when you came home today. You had a nice little hole in the wall and a nice present, and you already had a rough day in the office. The goal for you is to not project that aggression towards him because of what you saw when you came home, all right? You still have to be balanced when you go to see this dog, even though mentally, physically, you upset, you're already at a heightened state. Don't give the dog that energy because that's how you build. Some people think that you could build respect in that way by being aggressive with them, but it's really building fear, and it compounds over time, right? So if I go to my dog and I grab him because he put a hole in the wall or whatever, and I go to beating him up and tagging on him and stuff like that, this dog is going to be afraid of me. So whenever I ask him to do some things, it's not that he's respecting my command because I'm giving it to him. He's not trying to get beat on. All right. So we got to remember that consistency pays. So if you have a schedule, stick to a schedule. Owning a dog also goes into your. When I say consistency, I mean like don't think you have to be a robot. All right. Spend some time with your dog every day to build a relationship. You don't have to be monotonous all the time. You don't have to keep doing the same things over and over again every day, because repetition to some dogs can get boring. And then they will tune you out. Oh, we're doing the same thing every day. I know what he's going to do. He's going to come home. He's going to grab his keys. He's going to do this. He's going to walk it out. And I'm free for the next 12, 14 hours. Have a routine to where it is confusing to the dog, one, but have some consistency with it, if that makes sense. That makes sense? Kind of, sort of? All right. Huh? Organized chaos. That's exactly what it is. So let's talk about tone for a second. All right. This one right here is big, and for men, we have an advantage over women. All right. Our voices are a little bit deeper, a little bit heavier. Dogs respond to those tones, not necessarily the words that we're saying, but they respond to the tone in which we say it. All right. Again, being consistent with your tone with your dog produces a certain type of response from your dog, all right? So if I'm excited because I just got this dog and I'm talking, oh, hi, baby, you know what I'm saying, the happy stuff, your dog is going to be happy, overexcited, energetic, right? But the moment it makes you mad, hey, I told you that. Now what? You're confusing. All right. If you can maintain a certain level when you talk to your dog, whether you're mad at him, whether you're happy with him, whether you're sad or having a good or bad day, if you can maintain that tone throughout talking to your dog, I guarantee you'll see something different. All right. When you have people come up to you and meet your dog, most people want to get down. Oh, you're such a cute puppy. And then your dog start breaking the commands that you gave it, or just get out of character, or might bite somebody. Why? Because they overstimulated the dog. Okay? Try to keep the balance there. If what I'm saying to you is making sense, put your right hand in the air. All right. Yes, sir. You can use the mic.
The main dog that I'm talking about, that's the male Cane Corso.
The 2-year-old?
Yes.
Okay.
He is attached to my wife.
Okay.
So when you're talking about consistency,
Yes.
so that's what I struggle. Also, retired law enforcement. I worked in jail, but
Okay.
so my tone is overly harsh, and I think that's built the fear that you talked about.
Yes.
But it's ingrained in him, so there's a bit of fear. But he's perfect with the commands when we're outside, just me and him.
Mm-hmm.
He's 100% perfect. The problem is once my wife comes around, and I actually don't have a problem with that. The problem I have is she's not consistent.
Okay.
And her level of excitement, you know what I mean? She's very attached. That's her baby. In other words, the male dog is actually, the male is hers.
Okay.
That's her baby. I mean, truly her baby. So trying to get her to maintain consistency, how you go outside. I can take my dog outside off leash. I do generally in the backyard, but she cannot. And it's the fear that she has that the dog will do something. It's not that he's done anything. She's afraid he will. I don't know.
Yeah, that's projected fear.
Yeah.
All right. And anticipated fear. I talk to a lot of my female clients about this all the time. You know, what you intend to happen more than likely will happen. The energy that you send down the leash, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna get that back in return. But this is so what you're gonna do, because you are the pack leader, you're the leader of your household, you're gonna take what you learned today back home. And what you're gonna do, you're gonna be the one to distribute the information throughout your house. All right. So your dog, we were talking about it earlier. I think Brother Gill was saying your dogs are intimate parts of your family, right? Your dogs are a part of your family unit. That means if you're the head of the household and you're the one that's the leader, you're in control, everybody in the house should listen to you the same way, right? And if there's a flow, and I'm saying it should, right? If there's a flow, your wife would be next, the kids, then the dog, right? Because y'all all speak English. The dog doesn't, right? Kind of, sort of.
No, I agree because
Okay.
most people believe the dog actually does speak.
Yeah, dogs don't speak
Everybody
English.
in my house believes the dog does speak.
Dogs understand tone. Dogs understand tone. You could be like, you stupid. And your dog will be like, oh, thank you so much. Can I have a treat now? It doesn't know what you're saying. You can speak Spanish, Japanese. Like, people train dogs to hear German tones and all those types of things. They don't know. What's up, Chris?
So if they don't speak English, how do they know their name?
The sound. Like, if you were to have a conversation with your dog and you said, just give me a name. Charlie? Charlie? All right. You come home from work, you be like, hey, Charlie, what's up? What you think Charlie gonna say? He's not gonna say nothing. Or he might bark, but he's not barking in English because you don't understand what he's saying, right? So they understand your tone. When you say their name in a certain way, you can say, Charlie, Charlie. I meant I said the same word, but I said it in two different tones. One felt like a correction, and one felt like a playful excitement type of thing. All right? So, but fellas, when you go home, you have to encourage your wives and your kids to spend time with the dogs the same way you do. Now, if you're single and you live by yourself, shout out to you, you winning. My wife's outside, but I have the same. We all had the same. Hey, boo. We all had the same. We all had the same questions and the same concerns. All right, because my dogs respond to me differently than they do to my wife. So what I have done lately is I've given my wife more responsibilities or more opportunities to participate in training evolutions. So I may be, hey, boo, can you take the dogs outside for me? Or can you go feed them? And when she does that, she knows that they do a certain thing for me. So my dogs have to sit before I let them out of the crate, out of the big kennels. They have to sit calm patiently, right, before I open the door. The way you start an evolution is pretty much how it's going to continue. So if you get calm when you start the game, you should have calm going out the door through the rest of the house and all of that, right? So if you get your wife or your kids to practice games like that, they should be able to, over time, be able to have the same type of, position with your dog that you do. Now, there are some dogs that do attach to certain people, but again, it shouldn't be, my wife can't walk the dog down the street because he's going to drag her, knowing that he's not a dragger or a puller, right? Give her the opportunities to have those experiences. Did it make sense? All right, cool. I'm going to bring up two of our trainers to have a conversation with you guys as well. They're going to give you a little bit of information about themselves, and we're going to continue to talk about command a little bit. So for me, command, y'all come on up. Command is not necessarily about sit, stay, down, come, heel. Y'all can have a seat up here. Or if you want to stand, you can stand. All right. So it's not necessarily about sit, come, stay, downhill. It's more so about your presence in the room, right? It's just like, and you two both are law enforcement. We got prior military in here, so different educators. So when you walk into your respective space, the people around you and the things around you respect that, right? Your position, they respect your position, your title. It's not because you go in there demanding respect. Hey, you going to listen to me. You going to do this, that, and the third. That's not what it's about, but that's how a lot of people talk to their dogs, all right? Hey, G, could you play this clip for me real quick? the audio is not there, but I'm sure some of y'all have seen this video before. Now, how many of us have done this? Me, for sure. The dog probably did something crazy. He yelling at the dog, "You ain't a dog, I'm the dog. I'm the mud dog." You know what I'm saying? He in the dog's face, right? Because he's trying to express and deploy his dominance over this dog. Probably wasn't even necessary. It's probably overkill. If I'm gonna be completely honest with you, it's probably overkill. It's a little bitty dog. Now imagine he was to do that to a big 130, 140 pound Corso. Or a big 120 pound Rottweiler. You have to be a different type of guy to do that, to express that all day. But that's tiresome. You don't want to do that? That's not necessary, all right? Effective communication, man. Just practice time and time again and get everybody else involved. Your dogs watch you all day long. So your dogs know your habits before you even realize that you have habits. Your dog know what you do. Some people have told me that whenever I get ready to leave the house, my dog just go crazy. Well, how does your dog know you get ready to leave the house? Your dog has been watching you, however long it's been there, every day, watch you leave the house the exact same way. You put your shoes on, you grab your bag, put it on, touch your counter, grab your keys, out the door. Now, if you were to go grab your keys, put your shoes on, go grab a bag, walk out the door, it might be a little bit of like, oh, what's happening here? Or if you just went out the house without grabbing anything, your dog might look at you a little different, like, oh, he'll come back, you know what I'm saying? But again, your routine, over time, your dog picks up on it. Some dogs, it builds anxiety. Some dogs, it doesn't. Some dogs care, some dogs don't. But your consistency and your leadership patterns are what's going to be the thing that builds your relationship with your dog. All right? So I'll let these two guys introduce themselves, what they do, where they, how they got started in dog training and all that, and we'll continue forward with command.
So my name is D'Angelo White. I'm the owner of Pawford K9 Services. I got started in training in 2015. I started going to shelters and stuff. My wife, she actually is the one who pushed me to go to the shelter. I was sitting at the house, sitting around literally just looking at dog videos and dog pictures all day, every day. And she was like, "You got a problem. You need to go to the shelter." And I was like, "I ain't going to no shelter. I ain't about to get bit." That was my exact words. And then she was like, "No, let's go." So we ended up volunteering, and then from there, I ended up volunteering, and I ended up training the volunteers, and one thing led to another. I ended up going to cruelty cases and all of that type of stuff, and then I actually thought I wanted to be I thought I wanted to be an animal shelter director. And then I was going under the wing of Jorge Ortega up in Gifford County. I was shadowing him for a while, and then he told me, like, we sat down, he was like, "Hey, D'Angelo," he was like, "if you want the one-on-one relationship, you're not going to get that being a director." He was like, I was going to meetings and stuff with him. He was like, "I push the papers and all that type of stuff. I make those type of decisions, but I don't do any of the, like, day-to-day interactions. You're not going to get that. You might can foster a dog." And I was like, this ain't it. Yeah. So then, of course, I'm still volunteering and stuff at the same time. And then originally before that, I wanted to be a vet. I ended up going to school for animal science and business management. But, so I ended up training dogs, opened a dog training company. I started with the behavior modifications and fixing, like, dogs that were, like, about to be behaviorally euthanized and stuff at the shelters and stuff. And then one thing led to another. I would evaluate them, and if I think they can do something, I'll work with them. The only time they really got put down necessarily is if I, like, saw they were, like, unstable. They were, like, legit missing a screw. But other than that, it kind of just organically rolled into that. So I went from that to training people's dogs to now I do everything from service dog to protection work to regular pet obedience and I also do meal plans too. I'm a canine nutritionist as well too. But that's just kind of me in a nutshell.
So I'm Orion Jeffries. I own CrossShape Canine up in Charlotte, North Carolina. Relatively new to the business overall. I've been training and working with dogs since about 2020, 2021. I got my first bully in 2021. Through him, I was working with his breeder a lot. A lot of the dogs that he had like given up to other people and sold, they got a little bit. If you know anything about bullies, they like to fight. When it comes to, I mean, whether it's just being stubborn and hard-headed and not listening to you directly, or physically getting into altercations with dogs and people, you can see how they operate. But I did a behavioral case here and there, nothing really crazy, just basic on and off leash obedience. I got out of the military last year in February timeframe, started taking it a lot more seriously because I was like, hey, what do I want to be when I grow up, you know? So started working with there. I went to Highland Canine, which is down in Harmony, North Carolina, if any of you are familiar with the area. I went through a 6-month course there. It was military, police, law enforcement dogs, service dogs, pet dogs, behavior modification, and things like that. For a while, I thought I was going to get into the working dog side of things because I really do love detection. Detection is where my heart lies. I love when dogs hunt things down. Surprisingly, my bully does do human scent odors and stuff like that. So we've tracked a few through the woods and stuff like that just to have fun with it. But I've really just been doing pet dogs and behavior modifications since November of last year, and looking forward to this career moving forward.
All right, good stuff. I had a few things on my list here to give to you guys, and I want to get y'all's perspective on this right here. It says your dog doesn't understand your mishaps prior to your interaction with it, like oversleeping, missing a turn, or whatever like that. What would you guys say to somebody who's waking up in the morning late, having to rush to go to work? The dog is taking his time or whatever, or just not ready to move as fast as they wanted to. How would y'all explain to somebody to handle that situation?
Me personally, I mean, when it comes to having a schedule for myself, my dog has to be flexible. I've always been a big thing, like having a good meal schedule for a dog is good. Having a good know when to go outside, use the restroom, and things like that. So I've done a lot of like what a lot of people would say is unnecessary, like minimalist work to make sure that my dog is comfortable. Like for a basic place command, having your dog go into a table, a bed, or anything like that, having them sit there for a long period of time. I'll do that for hours intentionally, just because I know for a fact there's going to be hours that I have to work through certain things, and I have to sit there. And a dog can't have my attention, but he doesn't need to be in a crate if he doesn't have to be in a crate, because he knows a place command. He has something he can do comfortably somewhere else. So when it comes to just like the flexibility of life overall is, I mean, you know yourself better than anything, right? Being able to create some kind of inconsistency in your dog schedule overall when you're training any kind of behaviors is always going to be important. So like just letting your dog understand that, like, hey, so there's going to be some days we're not going to go on a 3 to 5 mile walk. You know, we're not going to have the time to go outside and play for a little bit. So having the consistency to like go outside, use a restroom real quick, come back inside, things like that. Being very intentional about how you go about your daily routine and what you expect out of your dog. Do you want questions or do you want?
Yeah. So I don't know, and I think I may have asked Dwanton this in the past. Does leaving your dog in the crate, like when you're gone for hours, does that affect the dog at all mentally? And is there a way to train the dog to where you don't have to leave your dog in the crate? Like maybe can you train your dog to where you can just leave them out and to roam? I'm not sure if always leaving your dog in a crate, does that affect it or not mentally, or that's something you just need to do with the dog to keep it contained? Right?
I mean, so when it comes to a crate, I'm a crate enthusiast when it comes down to it, and it's all about the association you create with that environment, right? If my puppy is crying in the crate and I immediately let it out, it understands that, like, hey, if I do this, this is the result of that, right? So being able to create a positive environment for a crate, for a place and things like that, is always where that starts. If your dog hates being inside the crate, yeah, it's going to be miserable all day that it's left in there. But if you create a positive association, you're feeding in that crate, you give that dog time to be in that crate comfortably, relaxed, to be separated from other things, you can use it during obedience exercise and things like that. It's a great way to create an individualized space for that dog. And then when it comes to the leaving your dog out all day, I mean, it's up to you and your dog. You know, if you know for a fact that my dog is this super insane high drive. You can go with the Shepherds, the Malinois, the GSPs we were talking about earlier. If you have a dog that you know for a fact if it's bored, it's going to be destructive, well, it's probably smart to keep that dog contained, create a space for that dog to exist comfortably and not be manic throughout the day. But, you have like an 8-year-old lab who's never done anything, it comes from a random line and it's comfortable just laying around all day. You have to know your dog. You have to know what your dog is capable of. I can leave my dog out all day and not have to worry about him destroying everything. Do I want to do that, though? Because there are going to be days where he can't. There's some days he can stay out all day because I'm not worried about him. He gone for 5-6 hours. He's not going to use the restroom. He's not going to do anything. But there's also going to be days where I'm keeping him in the crate, and it's because I need him to be comfortable with that environment. If there's a situation where I go somewhere, somebody else has to take care of him or anything like that, creating that environment so that he is comfortable in a place that you have to put him is going to save you from anything else. The mental effect that the crate has on the dog is dependent on how you utilize that environment on your dog. Does that answer your question?
I would just add to that. Think about, for me, when it comes to crate, I think every time a dog is out of the crate, it should be earned time, right? I would never give an 8-year-old the keys to my truck, right? You have to go through driving school, get your permit, get your man. You're gonna have to have your own insurance to drive my truck, like all of that. You have to have a certain level of clear clarity with me that you can handle this responsibility. For me, now, have I let my dogs roam around? Absolutely. But when I moved them to a new house, my dogs are 2 intact males, and they, marking and doing all this, trying to establish territory and all that. That's just the nature of dogs. So I had to put them up. You know what I mean? And we have situations where we have other people's dogs with us all the time too. So for me, leaving my dogs out all day is not feasible in certain environments. But like you said, you got to know your dog. Like, if you know your dog is crazy, don't leave him out. Unless you want to come home and be stressed out when you get back. So.
And my perspective on the crate in general is kind of like, because a lot of people, like, they'll have like a 6-month-old puppy, and I'll get a call. They'll be like, "Hey, I just want to be able to leave him out when I'm gone," and this, that, and the third. The reality is, like, your dog has to mentally mature. Like, the same way we mentally mature and we can handle more stuff as it goes along, the dog has to mentally mature. Realistically, if you can get a dog, leaving the dog out around a year and a half, you made it. Like, you won. Like, that's not something that, like, happens on the regular, like a regular type thing. Most dogs, not to go too crazy, but most dogs are like female dogs and male dogs. They mature. Typically, with most breeds, a female dog is going to mature mentally faster than a male dog will. So male dogs, I always, like, my famous saying, I always tell them, like, male dogs are like, depending on, like, if it's a large breed or whatnot, they're like dumb jocks. Like, but then, like, when they finally mature and they finally realize what their talent are, they like, oh, this dog is excellent. It's the best dog I ever had. But meanwhile, that female dog that you had was showing a lot of that maturity way earlier. Like, some males, like with Kim with his Connie Corso, those don't mature mentally to 2-3 years old. Like, they mature super slow. His female, year and a half. The female he had, a year and a half. Cool, calm, and collective. Look, acts better than the 2-year-old male right now did. So it's 2 different dogs. So you just gotta wait and, like, you kind of take it as you go. Once the dog matures and it can handle more, the dog's not getting into anything while you're there, then slowly but surely you can kind of fade away and, like, okay, I can give him a little bit more time out, a little bit more time here and there. But again, like DC was saying, like, it's earned. Like, you have to earn that privilege. But as soon as they don't earn it anymore, like, they waste it, you got to take it away.
All right. So another one, I'm a huge Cesar Millan fan. Cesar has said dogs don't listen to punishment; they listen to discipline. Would y'all be willing to go into the differences between punishment and discipline for a dog?
So,
feel like I agree with the statement, but just not how he meant it in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah,
It's a thin
yeah.
line.
Yeah. So it kind of depends on like, so discipline necessarily. I would say discipline, and you would think of like you see the term always like corrections and stuff like that. Me personally, you can't correct a dog for something that you haven't shown them. So when you go through and you kind of teach a dog something, and I'm like for instance, I was telling them I have a boarding train right now. The 3-year-old intact male German Shepherd, he's a piece of work, but he's been with me about a week and a half. I've been doing downs, luring him, this, that, and the third. He understands all the other commands. But yesterday, I told him down, and he popped straight into a down. We did it 3 or 4 times, and he popped straight into a down. So now I know he understands what the down was. I wasn't giving him any body cues or any of that type of stuff. So now, for example, I can now go in and actually, I can start to I can actually enforce that behavior. Like I told you down, I know you know it now. Of course, in the correct situations and stuff, I can enforce it and show him. So say if, like with dogs in general, if you teach them something and they choose not to do it and they know not to do that, of course, you can go in and you can correct them. You can discipline them for that, but it has to be in the moment, per se. What was the other word they used? Punishment? Yeah, and punishment is just knowing, necessarily like, say if like your parents have put you on punishment or something like that. You know why you're on punishment. You know, you got in trouble or whatever it may be. They took your TV away for a week, whatever it may be. But you know why you're on punishment. So they're the same thing. So like you discipline the dog, the punishment has to follow. But like in order for a dog to know it's being punished, it has to know why it's being punished. But if you haven't set a dog up for success beforehand, like you haven't showed them like this is this, this is that, then your discipline doesn't have it doesn't correlate with your actual punishment. So throwing them, like, for instance, we were talking about the crate. Throwing them in the crate after they did something 10 minutes ago. It's not going to correlate. They don't know why they're getting thrown in the crate. They're confused. But that's it.
I mean, yeah, he said a lot. When it comes, punishment's leaning just more towards that aversive side of things. It's just the idea of using nothing but like essentially negative reinforcement, like just the downfall of what this dog is going to receive if it doesn't listen to what you say versus what the structure of discipline is. Discipline being like, hey, it already understands what it can get. Very important. You cannot punish a dog. You cannot be adverse with a dog if they do not know what you're asking them to do. Right? It's the most beautiful thing I've heard all day right now. Because it's true. Discipline is a structure that's been created. It's a pattern. It's a routine. It means if I do this, you do this. Versus a punishment is, if you don't do what is leaning too far on the negative side, and there has to be a balance. There has to be a structure created between you and your dog. Which is I want to hear the context that Caesar said that, because I don't believe he meant anything that we said. Knowing Caesar Milan.
Yeah. So and so, I look at it like this. I have a saying: you can't expect what you don't teach. Exactly what you said. Like you cannot expect your dog to do something if you don't teach it to do something. Like we always have this preconceived notion that, oh, I'm thinking this in my head. My dog knows that it shouldn't do this, it shouldn't do that. You haven't told the dog what to do or what not to do, so you can't expect it to understand what you want. Again, it doesn't speak English. When he says dogs don't listen to punishment, they listen to discipline, I'm thinking that he meant discipline in the sense of being consistent with something, a routine. Punishment, I'm a operant condition kind of guy, right? So basically, a punishment is to get a dog to stop doing something, a dog or a human or whatever, to stop a behavior, right? That's all a punishment is for me. The discipline part comes in where it's something that is done over and over again, the routine, the cycle, the repetition that builds consistency. So if he's saying dogs don't respond necessarily to you yelling at it in a punishment type of way, I get that. But other than that, I can't see Caesar saying that.
I don't trust it.
Yeah.
It's too out of context to be.
All right. Emotional intelligence, right? Let's talk about
Still
it.
talking dogs?
The perk of this seminar is to give you information to take back home to your dogs and to your family, but this is also, if you notice anything about dogs, all of this stuff is parallel to other levels of life or other areas of life. So your relationship with your dog also ties into things that play into relationships with your family, with your kids, with work, with money, right? So talking about emotional intelligence, we can stay on the topic of dogs and tie it in, but he said that's big. So I want to hear what you got to say about that.
So with emotional intelligence, like especially not just men, but since it's a men's seminar, that's something that most men struggle because we're talking about like the macho-ness, like when DC said earlier, like, oh, you're gonna do this, be assertive and this, that, and the third. They may be feeling something, or you might be frustrated with the dog, or you may be frustrated in another area, but now this dog is right here, and that dog just so happened to jump on your patio furniture or something, or grab your pillow. Now all of that pent up like aggression and frustration and stuff you had, that dog's about to get all of that. And the dog is confused. So like they, the bearer of bad news type thing. So it's the biggest thing that I've realized like with dog training is like accountability per se. So dog training and your relationship with a dog is going to teach you accountability. So this dog isn't getting this concept. Okay, what can I do differently to get this dog to understand this concept? Or, okay, this dog really frustrating me. It's really frustrating. Or, okay, this dog is irritating me. I just can't deal with this dog right now. The emotional intelligence side of things, where like that you're aware of your emotions, you're like, okay, instead of me keep going, okay, and this can get real physical or really frustrating type thing with me and this dog, okay, let me go put this dog up and come back to it later. And we rock out again.
How do you get somebody to that point though, as a owner? Because I'm sure all of us done. I'll tell y'all a story after you're done, but my emotional intelligence was at an all-time low up till probably 2 years ago. Yeah. But how do you get somebody into that mindset of thinking like, all right, man, let me just put the dog away and I'll go do something else?
So with that, with me personally, like, so say if like, because it's usually like with private sessions, right? Or matter of fact, a reactive dog per se, right? A reactive dog typically is a reactive owner. So anxious owner makes an anxious dog. So if I can make you aware that your emotions, like you not walking in here with confidence, or if I can get you to take a couple deep breaths and think, okay, when you came in this situation, I saw this, 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 and this. And they'll be like, no, that didn't happen. And I'm like, okay. 5 seconds later, I say, okay, take a couple deep breaths. Take a couple deep breaths, and you'll slowly but surely, like you'll see the dog like slowly start to calm down as well too. But just you with that, like I like to pick out like specific situations, specific points for the actual to the actual owner, to where they can kind of see where their fault is or where they can improve per se. But a lot of people don't necessarily like constructive criticism, or like picking up like weaknesses or faults. Yeah. So you kind of gotta. Once you build that rapport with a particular person, you can kind of tell them about themselves. Yeah. So yeah.
Fellas, why is that? Why do we have problems with taking constructive criticism from other people? And y'all feel free to grab the mic and say what's on your mind. Don't be scared. Why do we have problems with taking constructive criticism from somebody? Most times, why do we have problems taking constructive criticism?
I think a lot of times when we think about criticism, we think about conflict.
Okay.
So when we hear somebody giving us that criticism, it's an automatically trigger, oh, this is about to be a conflict. I need to put up a guard. So I think conflict and
constructive
criticism work hand in hand together. And I think it's a guard that we put up when people give us that feedback. We don't know how to take it. We think it's a negative thing, when in daylight it's something that we probably can grow from. But the first thing we want to do is think of it as conflict, or why is this person telling me this and I'm not already doing it?
The other side, I think, is just being alpha males. We don't want to be wrong, and it's hard for us to accept that we can be wrong and somebody can have an opinion different other than ours, and they may be right.
Yeah. I'm glad he touched alpha males because I was going into that too. You had something to say?
Yeah, I
Go
was
ahead.
going to say, and I'm going to throw myself under the bus. My mentality is that I think I know everything. Not literally, but that's how I communicate.
Yeah.
And once you challenge me, it becomes a challenge. But this concept is a mixture of many different things. The experience you have with a person. So, Bienzo is my trainer. So what I do, when I have something I'm trying to communicate, I try to get him on the phone so that my wife can hear him say it. Because if I say it, it becomes you're picking on it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of the things I try to tell her with the dog, because my dog is very big, so she's afraid that he's going to go out and terrorize the neighborhood. Literally every time. For 2 straight years. We've had the dog since he was like, I guess about 5 weeks. So I told her, I said, listen, I have no problem. I've done a video. I open my door and stand there, my dog's standing. I walk outside. They don't run outside until I tell them to come outside. So when I say they're extremely well trained, but my wife has that fear. So every time she goes to the door, the dogs are pushing to get at the door. So I'm trying to tell her. And then she says, well, no. And the moment she challenges me, I automatically go into defense mode. Because I don't want to be told I'm wrong. I want you to listen to me. And we forget, in order to listen to someone, you have to be willing to listen to them. And communication is a two-way street, and we forget it in every conversation. We could talk about frying chicken, and it's the same thing. When an outsider speaks, we tend to listen better because we want to get the information. But when the wife or the son, and it works that way with my children as well. So it's a hard dynamic, and it becomes hard to train yourself to say, okay, what I've done is say, with the dogs, when my dog does something wrong, it's never the dog's fault. It's my fault because I did something wrong, and I do that across the board with everything. If I have a puppy, right, my puppy pees in the house, what did I do wrong? And that's an exercise we can do to help us understand that when a person is speaking, you have to listen, and if you listen to them, they'll get used to it and start to listen to you. That's just my place. I can do this all day. I don't know how much time we have, but Biagio knows. I get on the phone, I start talking, I don't stop. So just tell me to shut up.
No, that's good. So this is the reason why. So I missed this part earlier, but the Dog Dad campaign started because of situations like yours. I couldn't tell you how many times I've been to a training session, private session, and the husband sitting off in the corner like, I don't need a trainer. It's for my wife.
Oh, he listened to me.
Yeah, right. He listened to me. No. But it's for you too. Because you have to help your wife get it. This your wife. This your partner.
Yeah.
She live with you. Now, I don't like to be all in people's houses, you know what I'm saying? But it's weird to have another man tell my wife what to do and she do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, it is, but she go to work, you know, since she got blah, blah, blah. But I'm saying, like, if I'm telling, I had a client, bro. And they fired me after this. And it wasn't because I was bad. It was because I told you that already. So it just takes hearing it from somebody else. I had a client, I was teaching her dog, grabbed her and drug her down the street. And she's probably like 4'10", probably 85 pounds with boots on, wet. And she has a big Bernese Mountain Dog. Okay. And he was younger at the time, so excited, and he saw a squirrel or something like that, and he just lunged. Took her, literally drug her probably about 20 yards down the street. So she bruised up, she dislocated her shoulder or something like that, had a brace on her hand. And now she can walk this dog on the leash with 2 fingers. But I took her through my leash walking course, taught her how to do these different things, just confusing the dog, right? And the husband is like, we really paying for that? Like, this all you got to do? I already told you that. But it's not what you said, it's how you said it.
Yep.
right? And that goes back into the emotional intelligence piece. Like, it's not what we're saying that's any different from what you know already. You just have to find a different way to deliver it. Like, I had to call D'Angelo the other day about a dog, like, and I'm good with dogs. I can work with most dogs. This dog just was getting under my skin, and I had to have the professional outlook from another professional. Like, bro, I'm losing it with this dog. Like, I need some, but sometimes we need other people to feed things into us in areas that we might be missing, and that's okay. Like, as men, we got to be okay with accepting that we don't know everything. Right? We have to get to that point where we can be okay with not knowing everything. And Brother Gaddy, you said something good too. Alpha males. Every male is not an alpha male. Believe it or not. If everybody was an alpha male, nothing would get done. Everybody's delegating. Who are you talking to? I ain't doing that.
Yep.
But we'll go into that in a second. You had something you want to say? Or you
Emotional intelligence?
Yeah.
I mean, what Kim said earlier is I mean, pretty spot on. When it comes to, I'm a very self-blaming dog trainer. And when it comes to, it's my fault in every situation, and I've never been one to take things out on my dogs or my kids in general, and it's just because it's always it's my fault you're here kind of situation in general. And I'm used to being in the military for so long, being a Marine. You know, you kind of just get used to things not going your way. So walking in the house, and, things are torn up. I'm just looking at my dog, and I'm like, great, grab some treats, home, throw it in the crate real quick. Let me just create like I said, having a space for that dog to not have to deal with my energy the same way. And then what D'Angelo said earlier when it comes to, like ending a training session because you can't do it. I'm huge on I have to end on a win. Right, and I'm as humble as I possibly can be. If I'm trying to teach my dog something, and today I'm not having it, it's been a bad day, dog not listening, I'm not listening, we doing whatever, I'm a backtrack, right? If my dog can down every single time, right, and it's not downing because I'm correcting it, and it's not downing because of the pressure I'm putting on it, it's just things aren't going my way, pull out a treat, bait and lure, get my down, go away. Right, and I'm always gonna end on what I can at the highest level of a win for myself, just to make sure that I'm making progress. Because if I act in rage, I'm doing all this and the dog's not listening, and the dog is wilding out, and I'm getting frustrated, and I'm saying things that aren't a part of what my command structure is for this dog. If my command is sit, and I'm like, hey yo, come on man, sit. If I'm doing all this extra, then it's not constructive for myself or the dog. Right, so just being able to separate yourself, making sure that hey, this was effective. We did something here that ended well, and being able to end it on that point. Just trying to be humble towards those situations of knowing that like I need to be progressive in this situation with my dog more than anything else.
So you said your command structure, right? Explain that a little bit more in depth, because a lot of us talk to our dogs like, hey man, chill. No, that ain't working. Let's talk about words that work.
Yeah, so I mean, absolutely. When I say a command structure is you have to be intentional in every way that you speak to your dog, and it's the biggest thing that I have to do. And I do like a 2-3 hour turnover for my board and train guys, and it's because what I did essentially throughout this entire 4 to 6 weeks, depending on what kind of program you signed up for or whatever, is taught your dog that certain things mean something. I believe in generalization. So like if I'm doing recall training and my dog needs to know recall, I'm calling in somebody else to make sure that, hey, this is generalized to what it is. If I can say come and you come, then that's great. D'Angelo can say it, DC can say it. As long as it is name of the dog, command, it works, right? Being that intentional every single time. And making sure that those things are you stand by those things. And you can pick up on habits, right? Like we said, we talk to our dogs. I'm a dog trainer for a living. I tell my clients to stop talking, put your arm down, relax. And then I see myself doing those same things. I'm having full-blown conversations with my dog, right? But I mean, I'm at the point where like, say my dog's on an e-collar, I'm talking to the dog and I'm saying like, I don't know why you're so stupid today. Like you just need to stay next to me and heel, right? I did all of those extra words, but the only time that I used my e-collar was when I said the specific word heel, because the only thing that he knows is that, right? He doesn't know what I'm talking about. He's just looking at me like, are you gonna give me a treat or what are we doing here? But it's just, you have to be intentional when it comes to the commands you give your dogs and making sure that you start off that way. Because it's easy after years and repetition after repetition, and you've proved certain things. You know that my dog can behave a certain way and certain behaviors that you can, you're gonna get verbally lax, right? Because we're humans, we say a lot more words than dogs understand. But just making sure that the words that you want to have meaning consistently have meaning and you're not wasting your time is always going to be just super important.
What was the question again?
Let's talk about words that work.
Okay. Yeah. So, kind of goes back to, so like when we were talking about like command and stuff like that, it kind of goes like anytime you have command, you got to have, everybody thinks of like being assertive and all that type of stuff. Like I tell people like command is like, it takes guidance, right? So words, any word, words are just words, right? It's just noise coming out my mouth, right? But y'all know English, like we were talking about earlier, so each word has value. So with a dog, like if I tell him to down, okay, I down, I lay, I lure him into the position, boom, I name the word. Okay, now you have the command. I just added value to that command because when I guided him and showed him what the command is, but also two, I rewarded him for it. I showed him, okay, hey, every time you do this, this is what's going to happen. Like I enjoy this, I love this. Like you do this for me, I love it. So with command, like every word. So like and Kim knows better than anybody. Like with all his dogs, like one thing I do is like we're talking about generalizing. I generalize the word no. Like a lot of people like scream the word no and all that type of stuff. Like it, but I'll generalize the word no. No is whether you're chasing that squirrel and you about to run across the street chasing that squirrel. No, you better stop dead in your track. No is, hey, don't jump on that counter to try to grab that food. No is, hey, don't jump on the couch. Like whatever it is, no stops any undesired behavior. The reason I can use that word no and I add value to that word no is, okay, initially starting out, okay, no is paired with a correction or some type of negative reinforcement. And then eventually, what the dog ends up doing mentally, the dog ends up understanding that, hey, I have to beat this correction. So I'm going to say the word no, correction doesn't, and if I comply by it and I stop what I'm doing, correction doesn't come. So you realize that I can be training and I can tell a dog no, and they'll backtrack and say, oh, okay, I need to be doing this. This is where I went wrong. So my no now, like we're talking about with command and what words work, my no lets that dog know, hey, what you just did, that moment in time, is wrong. So you need to backtrack and figure out what I actually need you to do.
I'm glad you said that because something just popped in my head. Mm-hmm. As we are talking about command and consistency with our family and our kids and everybody else in the household, as soon as something happens that shouldn't happen, you have to address it. Yep. This is with everybody. This is how dogs learn. Everybody has to be on the same page. It cuts down the training time. Imagine you getting 50 repetitions of no every time you go to jump on the couch and the word no dogs on the couch, right? Mm-hmm. Every time somebody in the family says no, the dog learns, okay, cool, maybe I can't jump on the couch. Mm-hmm. But everybody in the house has to do it at the same. All of y'all have to be on the same page. All right. Yes, sir.
So we're focusing on no, but
Yeah.
we're focusing on no, but it works across the board. The biggest problem that I have with no is that, and this is more of a correction for me. My no has a little force behind it, maybe too much, but a little force behind it to make the dog understand that is not allowed. My wife's no is no. Come here, baby. Let me pet you and play with you. And so I think, in my opinion, it loses value. My wife is inconsistent. It depends on how she feels. And that's not something I can change. Men and women are different. In other words, through my law enforcement experience, there has to be an intention with everything you tell someone to do. there has to be a reason. You can't just randomly pick things because you feel a certain way. Or you can't ignore things because you feel a certain way. It has to be consistent. If no is no, if you can't get on the couch, my dogs get on the couch, by the way. But if the dog, oh, I got a good one. And this I wanted to bring this up because I need advice. My dog sits, when I'm sitting on the couch, my dog is eye level with me. So what my dog does, he knows when I'm eating, because I sit up on the couch and eat, he knows he can't come after my food or anything like that. But he'll sit there and stare at me. And it becomes a little uncomfortable when you have a big 130-pound dog, like really literally in your face.
Yeah, yeah.
So we create the back it up. And he knows when I tell him, Chango, back it up. He'll take a step back and then just stare at me. Now, my wife does that no, because it makes her even more crazy. She says no, but then she's got to pet him and rub him and massage him and play with him and be nice to him. And right. I'm going, would you just tell him no? No. So anyway, so I'm like, if you want him out your face, you have to get him out your face. But yelling, there's so many things y'all are saying that I'm like, okay. So my wife comes from an arguing background. So whenever the dog does something wrong, it becomes not a command, a conversation, an argument, an explanation. Like, don't jump on the couch because when you're too big to get on it, it becomes a whole.
Yeah.
And she does it with me too. So I know it's a personality thing.
Yeah.
And the dog can't say, okay, you're telling me too much. What do you want me to do? Because that's literally what he looks like. What do you want me to do? I feel like I'm in the seminar now. I'm going to shut up.
No, you dead on, man. This is what we're here for.
But
Quick.
see, that's the issue. How do you carry to your family the concept? Because I've had the conversation. Oh, I'm sorry. I've had the conversation to explain to them that everything I do with my dog, I do with intention. There's never anything random. Everything. When we walk out the door, my dog has to sit. He cannot go through a doorway without first sitting, and that's to calm him down, get him in the right frame of mind for whatever we're going to do. So we go to the doorway. My wife walks out the door. Come on, Shango, and he runs out the door. And I said, no, you can't do that, because I'm teaching him to sit. Whenever you approach a doorway, sit. And with me, he'll do it. With her, it's hit or miss. With me, when she's around, it's hit or miss. So I'm trying to communicate. There has to be an intention, and hopefully that will create a calmness about giving the command. If you have an intention, you're not angry. I'm going to stop there because I feel like
Quick disclaimer. He's been dealing with this about 2 to 3 years. Yeah, as his trainer. So I'm gonna let y'all hit this one.
That's good. So at my house, I call everything a game. I treat everything as a game, and the only way you can start the game is if you're calm, right? So I don't know how your wife communicates or feels about games or starting playing games, but every evolution, I would tell my wife, okay, look, they have to be calm before this because of this. So if I'm explaining to the human why these things make sense, and then they put it in action and see it, they are more likely to continue that pattern. So I tell my wife, like, look, if you want them running past you and you yelling and screaming, they stepping on your toes and all of that, because they wild and out of control because you let them out and they were too excited, that's what you're going to continue to get. But if you make them wait, or you wait until they calm down, they understand that you're in control of the game of letting them out. And you control the game all the way through. So whether you're coming from on the crate to the back door to outside and then coming inside and back into the crate, same thing. You are in charge of the game. So you give them a job you give them a job to do. Does that kind of make sense? We're talking about the family. You give the family a job to do, and it still trickles down to the dog because the dog is still getting the reps in. The dog has to sit at the door. The dog can't go outside until you tell it to. You have to communicate that with the people that are giving the dog the opportunity to run. All right? So for me at my house, we do games. Everything is a game. So start the game. You letting them out. Start the game with them being calm. Then you let them come out. And once over time, like if you see it happen in real time, they'll be like, "Oh, I did it." That's a positive reinforcement for them. You know what I'm saying? It's just like giving them a treat or petting them and rubbing on them. And I'm talking about family, but it's parallel. It's parallel to the dog. That's why I'm saying all of the dog training stuff is parallel to families and relationships. It's the same thing. All right? You change your mindset about how you're teaching your family to handle your dog.
Yeah, as a non-married man, I'm not going to tell you how to talk to your wife. But I mean, I've had the luxury of having clients that are, I mean, able to handle the banter that I come with as a trainer in general. I like to challenge the household. Like DC brought up the example earlier of the, you know, like the husband of the household, the male of the household is the one being like, the dog listens to me. I'm a show me kind of guy. And it's for the example of like, if you're saying your dog listens to you, right? And this is the same logic I'm gonna explain it to him, then I need to know what's working so that we can keep it consistent throughout the house, right? My job is to make everyone that shows up to the lesson involved. If you can get your wife to do the training sessions with you, right? Like I'm not sure what the training relationship is, and I'm not trying to say anything negative about the training process. But forcing your wife to be involved in the training process is the only real, you know, workaround to showing what consistency can do. If your dog, I mean, you've had this dog for 2 years, and she's still scared, what are you scared of? Do you not trust the fact that we've been doing this training? Do you not trust your relationship with this dog? Why don't you trust your relationship with this dog? And it's because you're not being consistent. But I can't, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't live with her. I can't tell her that.
No, just so I want to do this because I don't want to give you the impression that the train, because my wife actually does.
Yeah, no, I believe you.
No, she does
You're good.
participate in the training, and I don't know if she's trying to impress D'Angelo, but when he literally says, "Okay, you're doing this, do this," and she does exactly what he says. I've done the same. But once again, when I said aha moment, I said I have to treat her not like the dog, but I have to kind of train her by teaching myself.
Yep.
If she's not doing it, what am I doing wrong? I never ask that question. I keep saying because she won't. Mm-hmm. She's afraid not of what the dog will do. She's afraid of what the dog might do.
Right.
Whatever her imagination can create, the dog might do that. Yeah. So I joke around, right? I said, well, you know, a meteor could hit the house and we could all die, because that could happen.
Oh,
right. But I'm not worried about what could happen. I'm going to look at what consistently does happen.
right.
And I said, and I've even explained to her, the whole idea is not to correct you, is to create a calmness. I want you to not be worried, not be anxious, not be afraid. Yeah. When we're outside, we were at a training session, and my dog was in the car. But she saw me. It was D'Angelo was not there as early as I was, and so I had my dog out doing, you know, just because he gets a little excited when we get to the field. Yeah, he gets once D'Angelo shows up, I lose it. So I'm doing training session to get him in the frame of mind of following commands. My wife rolls out the window. People are coming, and I'm like, "What's the problem?" So, no, you got to get a hold of them, because I was doing off-leash training, and I said to her, "See, the problem is you're getting excited, and you're going to get him excited, and you're going to put those people in danger. Calm down."
Yeah.
Even when
a big thing is like trainers. Our job is to teach people, especially like private lessons. Like board and trains is us working with the dog. If we're doing like long-term projects, you guys do like protection work and stuff like that. That's us training your dog. But private lessons are us teaching your household how to find ways to, you know, be comfortable with it, to trust in the training, to have somebody go from being super anxious at the beginning of a walk to realizing that, hey, my dog can walk completely off leash without me having to worry about it. Like that's what that's what as you know, husbands, as household leaders, as individuals of multiple people in the household, just teaching them that like, hey, this is what is working. We have to work through it to get rid of these fears, to get rid of that anxiety. You have to just do it. Like that's the only way around it, is to show yourself, to show everyone around you that this is what this dog's potential is. Like this is what this dog's capable of. It's not going to murder everyone it sees. That's just not how dogs are, especially not a trained dog.
And I'll say this: this one thing changed my whole perspective on animals in general, right? And it kind of led me into why I'm a dog trainer now, and I have such a high level of confidence in what I do. We're in a church, and the Bible tells us that God gave us dominion over animals. I use that to my advantage. If I believe in God and I believe that God put me here to have dominion over the earth and the animals and all the things that's in it, a dog is no different. And for me, that has been one of the things that has been my little I guess lifeline that I hold on to. Like if I ever come into a situation where I meet a dog that is, oh, this dog's aggressive, blah blah blah. Okay, cool. Not a problem for me because I have dominion over animals. And if you don't project fear, that's really what it is just a fear of FOMO. I mean, not FOMO. This is a fear of what might happen, like you were saying. Your imagination, it only can perceive what it has been given, right? So if she hasn't had any real wins with the dog off leash, then, she's going to always assume that might be the thing, right? Or the dog might attack something. Or the dog might run after somebody and you won't be able to get it back. She got to have some wins, some small ones, all right?
So what I should do, maybe, right? Take controlled sessions, let her do the work.
Yeah.
Okay.
I work with another.
Wait,
I work with
D'Angelo, you made a
another.
face. I'm sorry, you made a face.
Oh,
It's just more work for him.
He
no.
knows my-
I made a face because she's in the group classes. Tell him to down. His chest is on the ground before she finishes the word. Like he does everything. Like he actually listens to her better than he listens to him.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah.
when they're together.
That's where it falls apart.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where it falls apart. He's like, no, I'm gonna listen to mommy like right now. But if she disappears, he's like, okay, what you need me to do, daddy? Like that's it. Like the flip just switches. But it's just, yeah. So,
It creates a confusion because the dog recognizes me as the pack leader, but he's attached to mommy, and he's gonna listen to her first. Right. So the confusion comes in when I'm giving commands in her presence because he's like, wait, okay, who should I listen to?
So let me ask you this: are y'all doing it? Are y'all cutting each other off, or are you following or chaining?
Okay, now this is why I'm here.
Okay.
So the problem becomes, but I've tried my best. I don't know any better way to do it. To drill into her, we should not give dogs commands on top of each other or in the middle.
Right.
So when I tell my dog heel, don't you tell him, come on, Shango,
Right.
because you break up my command and he becomes. You understand what I mean? So
I
and
do.
believe me, I've said it 1,000 times. One person at a time. If it's you, tell me when I start, right, because I do it too.
Yes.
I do the same thing because I feel like I have more control over him. I'll interrupt her. And I got to remind myself, no, don't do that. When she starts, let her finish. For good or bad, it has to be one person giving a command at a time, and that's something that we struggle with in my house.
Relinquish control.
Now, I'm a correction officer 20 years, and perhaps, right, the hardest thing in my life, it's a constant struggle. I'm retired 13 years now, 14 years. I'm retired, struggling to become a human being. You see me right now in the seminar where I came for information, and y'all are running, and by the way, I respect all y'all, fantastic at what you do. I still have a hard time letting y'all control this.
I'm humble in this regard because I need questions. It's an interactive portion. You are here to communicate with us. So you're doing what you're supposed to do. And as a trainer, I'm like, cool, positive reinforcement. Keep asking questions.
Yep.
Keep asking questions. I'm luring you. Keep asking.
Every statement you make, everything that y'all said points out something different that I had not really paid attention or maybe enough attention to. and it creates more questions. Every time you say something, I got 50 questions in my head, and I'm trying to control myself. Let them finish. They may answer the question, but really the biggest issue that I have, it's not with the dogs. The training is phenomenal. The issues I have is with the owners, the people that live in the house. What I see, and like as Bienzo, so I think I should have started this at 20. I might be a dog trainer myself. At 60, I can't do it.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem that I have is I watch videos and understanding the purpose. What's the result? What am I looking for? What am I going to get? In other words, we did protection training with my female. I had all my dogs are intact, so I had a female, and I had a male Corso. The size of the dog, in and of themselves, if they're out of control, presents a danger for everybody in the neighborhood. So I started watching videos, and I constantly. I'm sitting home. I'm retired, so I sit home constantly watching videos telling me what to do. And what I've learned is that it seems like trainers have a reason why they do everything. So I try to adopt it on myself, and I try to communicate that to my family. When you're telling the dog something, have a reason. Don't just tell him because you feel like he should go sit in the corner. Have a reason and have an intention behind it to create the consistency and a calmness.
Or don't.
You said or don't?
Or don't. Because there are plenty of times I've told my dogs just to go, just go do something just because.
Yep.
And what that does is, we talked about value to your voice. It adds value to your voice because now your dog is listening to you. You could randomly, like if you were to go outside right now and get Diesel, he'd be like, oh, what are we about to do? Random, right? Right. But you interrupted his playtime, not intentionally, but hey man, I just want to see you for a second. Man, people do it to us all the time. How many times have you gotten a random phone call? What up, man? I'm just checking in. I don't want nothing. Just see what's good. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Your dog. I agree to an extent. There are some things that you need to do with your dog that is intentional. Yes. But sometimes when you're building a relationship and working on certain things, they have to be random.
So
yeah, strengthen that bond. That's what he said.
Like to elaborate on that, like because I know, especially with it's one thing I tell people is like to be, like, of course I tell them to be like intentional, like don't say something without, I always tell people don't say something that you're not willing to reinforce, like or enforce. So if you're gonna say sit or you're gonna say down, you better be willing to get up off that couch to go make them sit or make them go down. Because guess what? I said the last thing you can do, you never want to make your dog, don't let your dog turn you into a liar. Like I know if I say, like I use release words and all that type of stuff. Like if I have one release word, I use the word susu. That means, okay, boom, you got the freedom to go do what you want to do, kick rocks. I don't care what you do. And then if I say the word yes, they're looking for something. They like, okay, you got a hot dog for me? You about to throw a toy? Like, what is it? Like, what am I getting? But also, it's kind of like so like it has to be like context behind it. Like when DT was like, hey, sometimes you just tell them to go do something, just do something. I'll have people, and this is what I see all the time. They'll pick up, like say with a boarding train, they'll pick up their dog, and dog is super excited to see them. And the dog is like running around, acting crazy, like excited to see them, right? And they like, sit. And they mad. They're like, he not listening. He not. I said, come on. I said, why'd you do it? Like, why do you want him to see? I said, he happy to see you. Like, he ain't jumping on you. He ain't acting crazy. He went up to you. When he went up to you, he just wanted to be petted. Now he's running around doodling. Like, come on now. Like, why are you telling him to sit right now? That has no purpose. So, like, that's why, like, it just has to have, like, context behind it or something like that. But say if you sitting in the house and your dog has a place command, you might be cooking or something like that, or you just walking around, hey, go to place. You ain't got no reason to it, just go to place. Go sit over there. Go do something with yourself. Dog looking like, what? Right, for real right now? Yeah, go to place. That's what I said. But you don't, like for instance, like that, you don't need context behind it. Then you might release them like, all right, now you can go do what you want to do type thing. but you know, you just have to like. That's why I say it has to be like a balance with it per se.
That follow through is real though.
Yeah.
We had the same saying when I was first training, walking into corrections into Rikers Island, New York. A senior officer once told me, "Don't make threats you're not going to follow. Don't ever tell someone you're going to hit them if you're not going to hit them. And once you say it, you know you have to hit them.
You have to.
So if you don't want to hit people, don't say it. And that's my dog's the same thing. My wife is I'm going to whoop your butt. She's more colorful, but that's constantly. She has never put her hand on her dog. Bianzo knows the dog, and she knows if she touched her dog, she would cry. If she hit her dog, she would cry. So, but she's constantly threatening. I said, so I tell her, would you please stop threatening the dog? Because you're not going to follow up on it, and he's just not going to believe nothing you say. But with me, if I know I popped my dog in the face. Sounds crazy, especially if you see my dog, but something he did, and I just popped him in the face. Why did you do that? Because I told him if he did it again, I was going to pop him. Now, he didn't, I'm aware that he didn't understand, but he understood the feeling I was giving him, and then he did it again. So that's why I had to, and I didn't want to, because he's a really big dog. Yeah. I was, the challenge of a big dog is that, Lord, if they get, you're always in the back of your mind, but what if they really get mad at you? Right? What if they really get angry? In a fight, in my 20s, the dog's winning.
They can kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now at my age, there is no fight. Right?
And I'm glad you said that. Yeah. Because it shouldn't necessarily be, you shouldn't be,
yeah.
It shouldn't be. Because you have a level of understanding already. You're a human being. You're telling the dog what to do. You have dominion over the dog. There's no need for you to get mad at the dog.
So, guy came to my house. He saw my dog. Oh, he's huge. Yeah, you're not afraid that he'll. No, he doesn't bite. I said, not me. No, that's the Kevin Hart. Like, not me. He doesn't bite me. No, I could punch my dog. Literally punch him in the mouth. He'd just look hurt and go sit in the corner. If you tried to do it, he might bite your hand. He might take your hand off.
Yeah.
So I do understand that, and that's the relationship. My son, he was afraid of my female. He never told us he used to do the bite work with the female. He was afraid of the female. And I told him that's where your problem was. Because with the male, he's very comfortable. But he can't, trying to get him to follow the direction. And that fear created too much tension, and it amped her up. Mm-hmm. And so her reactions were over the top when it came to him. And, well, I'm going off again. I'm segueing into, I'm doing it again, right? I keep hearing myself like, would you shut up? No, I'm not sensitive, by the way. So everybody, I'm really not sensitive. So if you ever feel to say, hey, could you shut up? Please do it, because I won't know how to stop if you don't. No, but that is, it becomes a very important, very, very important thing in understanding. As I'm listening to you, I need to be more random. Maybe I'm too controlled, too disciplined. Like everything has to have a reason.
We said it earlier. Control chaos.
I wish I knew how to do that.
I would put it in the concept of just realistic expectations, right? If you tell your dog to down in the middle of Times Square and you've never downed in front of like 3 people walking past it, you just can't expect certain things to go certain ways. Like being random, right? And it sounds like a crazy concept, but like just because it's random to the dog doesn't mean it's random to you, right? If you set an alarm on your phone for like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, right? And you're like, all right, I'm gonna put my dog in a place and I'm gonna set all of these alarms, and then you just randomly go and you can pick whichever one you do, and you can set for different times and things like that. You can still create a structure. You can still go about training in a manner that makes sense, that checks boxes, that goes through like a structure, right? But for your dog, like, why did I just get this random treat? Because like a dog will wait. It's like, hey, if I'm giving my dog a treat every 5 seconds, it does something. It understands that this is the time frame I have to do something. If I give a dog a treat in 2 minutes and then I wait 20 minutes to do it again, right? Making sure they're staying in that position that you called them into, doing the command the way that you want them to do it, and then you're positively reinforcing it, right? Adding value, being consistent, positively and negatively towards the behaviors that you expect, right? You can structure it however you need to make it make sense. as long as you're the one that's aware that to the dog it doesn't need to make sense.
That's good. I do want y'all to take advantage of this in your packet, in your bags. You guys have a quiz in there. We talked about alpha males earlier. So I want you to go through, answer the questions, and then tally them up at the end. And we'll take a quick 5-minute break. Y'all stretch, yawn, and then we'll make moves to get up out of here. There are some baked goods in the lobby. Snacks. Yeah, if y'all want to, for purchase. For purchase. If y'all want to go out there and take a look at that table, and see what's going on out there. But we'll take a quick 5-10 minute. Well, actually 5. We'll be back here at 1 o'clock. And then I'll go over your scores. All right. So 1 o'clock. Didn't do good in school?
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. Like, you know what I think it is though? You would always have Aziza.
Yeah.
She would have Sean.
But that,
Now
yeah.
y'all got to work to like change how it is.
Oh, who missing? Porky and Gabby.
I think low key, there's a particular reason for that in our mentality. So
I'm gonna go over
Aziza
this.
came because I wanted a torso, so my wife found one in Atlanta. So we went out to Atlanta, got the dog. It was all for me. She, jealous of me and Aziza, had to get one. We found a breeder in Raleigh, so we got Shango. So Shango is literally her dog. And that's her baby. You can't. You know, I've taken out to the training field. D'Angelo's been not tough. He's never super tough with him, but he was very strict with Shango one day. And my wife was and we in the car on the way home. She's like.
All right, so let's review these points real quick. If you tallied up your points, what numbers do what numbers do you have? 48. Okay. Who else? Oh, you haven't gotten there yet.
No, I don't even know how you. Oh, okay.
It should be numbers beside it. So 48, and what you guys just took was a dog dad archetype quiz to tell you what type of leader you are, or what of the 6 social dynamic archetypes that they are, right? Yeah, and take it home and let your wives take the test as well. Because I'm gonna give y'all the scoring key to break it down. And so if you are 55 to 60, you're alpha. All right. The alpha dog is a confident pack leader. You run a type ship with your pup. Rules, structure, and respect are the name of the game. Your dog is well trained and knows you're the boss, but they also trust you completely. You are all about discipline and loyalty, and your canine companion looks up to you as the ultimate leader of your 2-member pack. All right, that's 55 to 60. If you are 49 to 58, you're a beta. The beta dog dad is a dependable, second in command, and loving caregiver. You're firm and consistent when you need to be, but you give a soft side to your furry friend. Your dog knows you'll always be here for playtime and cuddles, yet they will still listen when you give a command. You strike a great balance between authority and affection, making you a beloved buddy and role model to your puppy. All right, that's beta. 40 to 48 is gamma. The gamma dog dad is the easygoing, balanced buddy. You put in a decent effort to train your dog and also spoil them just enough. Life with your pup is all about fun and companionship with a dash of routine. You might not be gunning for Dad of the Year awards, but your dog is happy, most well behaved, and knows that they are loved, and that's what counts. So does that sound kind of like, all right, cool. 39 to 30, you're in the Delta. The Delta Dog Dag is a laid back, no frills owner. You meet your dog's basic needs and enjoy their company without making a huge fuss. Maybe you're not the most proactive about advanced training or doggy social events, but you have a comfortable day-to-day routine. Your pup is a low-key companion, and you're content just having them around as part of your family. If you score 21 to 29, that puts you in Sigma. The Sigma Dog Dad is the lone wolf type, marching to the beat of your own drum. You and your dog have a unique bond that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. You prefer one-on-one adventures, overcrowded dog parks, and you train or don't train in your own unconventional way. Others might not always get your style, but your dog is your trusted sidekick in your independent life. And if you scored in the 10 to 20 range, you're Omega. Not the bros, but you're Omega. The Omega dog is the ultimate spoiler and goofball. You have zero shame in treating your dog like royalty or maybe like a baby. House rules? Nah. Your pup is free to do as they please, and you're just there to cheer them on and clean up the mess. It might be chaos sometimes, but it's full of love. Your dog is your world and it shows in the pampering and affection you shower them with. All right? So now that y'all have kind of had time to tally them up, where'd you end up? 47. All right. So you're in the gamma. 48. You're in the gamma. And I'll give you these. Where'd you end up? Oh, you didn't take the quiz. Jesus. Who man's is this? Gil, you took the. Did you take the quiz? No, you snacking. Okay. All right. That's your dog. I got you.
He doing what he do right now.
Snacking.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll hand these out to y'all and get your wives, whoever you live with, to take the quiz as well to see where they end up. And so just before I pass it off and we kind of shut this thing down, what did you end up where you thought you would be as far as a dog owner? You did, yeah. You thought you would be in that range, Gaddy? Absolutely. Okay. What about you, sir?
I thought I was an alpha, apparently I'm not.
And that's okay. Every dog doesn't necessarily need an alpha leader.
Apparently my wife did.
Yeah, maybe. You'd be surprised, man. It's a lot of them. A lot of them. What do you guys think that most dogs might? What type of leader a dog might want? If you had to describe it. Let's think about your dog in particular. What type of leader do you think your dog needs or wants? If you got a mic, you can grab that. Okay.
I think with my dog, number one, he's a puppy, so he's only one. And so I think as he grows, I think my leadership will change a little bit more because he's stubborn as hell now. He'll probably be even more stubborn. And I think for where he's at now, Gamma works. And I think eventually I could see become more of an alpha, I guess male or whatever the classification is for him. But, Gamma works because my wife is probably down on the lower end where that's her buddy and her best friend. And so our style's a little bit different where, I was reading it, like when I come in the house, he's waiting for me. Well, when I leave in the morning, he's at the door watching me leave, and then he has to go to the window to watch me get in my truck and drive away every morning. When I come home and she said, "Dad's home," he's at the door like, "Hey, what's up, bro? Where you been all day?" And so for where he's at, I think Gamma's perfect.
That's good. I do think, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I think all dogs can benefit from all of these and fluctuating between them. Yeah. Seasons, like life is in seasons. Everything we do is in seasons, so you can always switch it up, and different these different types. Try them. See how your dog responds, and you may be able to get a different response from your dog. One that's okay. Maybe I don't necessarily need to be like that. It's all about just finding that right adjustment, making the right tweaks, so that you have a good relationship with your dog. All right.
I'll say this: this is our second Roddy, and before him, we had a English bulldog and a boxer. The boxer was just insane. He was just insane. And then, but now the English bulldog, he was great. He was of the two, he was the leader.
Okay.
The boxer do some crazy stuff, and he look at him like, "Nah, bro, we ain't doing that." And he go sit in the cage and wait for us to get home. And the boxer would be like, "Where's he at? Where's he at?" And then we see us come home. Now he's darting to the cage. But for my other Roddy, his name was Hudson. He was actually a Roddy and a lab mix. Very disciplined. You're talking about walking off lead. I'd walk, stop. He'd look at him. He'd sit down. And with Diesel being so young, we're trying to get to that phase. So it's a difference between the two dogs. And so everything he said about knowing your dog and knowing your different dogs is 100% true. But we also got Hudson, and he was a rescue, and he was older. So his maturity was there, whereas Diesel was just like, "What's next? What's next? Can I play? Can I play? Where are we at?" He saw, when we pulled up, he saw the Labrador. He was like, "Hey, there's somebody to play with. Come on, Dad, let me in, let me in." And so, like I said, knowing their behaviors and learning them is totally different. Now, what I will say, my man was talking about his wife. My wife is at home. She works from home. They're at home all day together, all day long. And so when he sees me, he's like, "All right, I need a break from her." And then he knows, like, if I come home, I'm going to have to run an errand. And so in my truck, I bought a dog bed that goes in the back cab, and it stays in there. He knows that's his. So he's like, if you say the word ride, he's like, "Where's my collar at? Let's go. I'm going." So, he's very attentive to what we're doing and what's going on around him. But it's still early on. So, I think that his behavior is good, but it could be better.
How old is he?
1. Yeah, he just turned 1 in January.
Oh, you outside? Oh, I gotta see him when we leave.
Yeah,
I'm a Roddy guy.
Oh yeah. He's a great guy. Big paws. We got him up in Yanceyville.
Yeah.
So
You probably got another. You got another year to 2 years before he matures.
yeah. Well, now I would say we were talking about crating.
Yeah.
So he sleeps in his crate at night, and he knows when he goes outside for the last time. When he comes in, he looks at me and he'll go right to his house. Or if I say, "All right, go to your house," he goes to his house. But we can leave him out, and the worst thing he'll do, he'll get he'll get my wife's like throw rugs and chew on them for a little bit or move them. But she's even got him where he won't touch them now. Or very seldom he'll mess with them. And so, but we can leave him out for 2 or 3 hours, and the house not be tore up, and pooped or peed or anything like that. So, which is nice. Every now and again there's an accident, but it's nothing consistent. And with going outside, if we're sitting there in the house and he needs to go outside, we have a bell on the door. He knocks and he rings the bell. Lets us know, hey, he needs to go outside, and he goes outside. The backyard's fenced in. So.
That's good. I think also one of the big things is understanding that dogs grow up in phases, and not expecting an older dog from a young puppy is key. That kind of will save you a little headache as well. And then knowing the breed, like doing research on the breeds is crucial. Like people get certain dogs like, man, why my dog? Blah, blah. Like people have hounds and like, why my dog keep barking and howling? I mean, you gotta have.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they do. Like,
All they want to do is sniff.
That's it.
That's what it's
Yeah,
supposed
my
to do.
dog is all in the grass and won't. Understand the breed of dog you have. All right.
You ain't supposed to tell people that. That's behind the scenes.
That's common. That's like so.
I think you lost your mic. You lost it.
For context, she earned the name, and every boarding train has a nickname. Yeah,
Just a nickname, not a real thing.
Yeah.
No, but that's what because I'm 33 courses in now. So, and I've had them all from very young puppies. That's what they do, and so we don't get excited. And I said to somebody else just the other day, if you have a dog in your house, then you have stuff to clean up. Mm-hmm. That's just a part of what the animals is what they do. You can train them. And that's what I was going to mention. My 2 adult dogs. I have a 12-year-old lab and my 2-year-old Corso. I don't put them in the crate, but when they feel tension in the house, they go to their crate. That's their safe place. That's how we crate trained them to make the crate a safe place. And we started with the puppy, and the crate is not a punishment for them until you separate them from everybody else. So in other words, the dogs like to be around everybody. They like the energy of the family. And when they do something wrong, you don't have to get screaming. You just go put them in the crate and ignore them. Don't speak to them. Don't talk to them. Just ignore them. And that creates their anxiety. That's the punishment without having to be mean and nasty. Although I felt you on, because you said crazy things. My bull mastiff, this is many, many years ago. You talk about emotional control. Correction officer in the middle of it, working. I'm literally fighting every day, not yelling, fighting, just fighting every day. And I came home and my dog it was a thunderstorm, and my dog had flipped the crate over, got through the big holes, and got a hold of some tissue. We bought a big thing of tissues, and had it sit next to the dog crate. The dog got a hold of it. When I went and looked, it snowed in my living room. When I lost it, I literally had the dog in a full Nelson on the floor, reaching for my gun. Only thing I did was terrify the dog. I didn't do, and myself for that matter. But in that moment, I looked at myself and said, "What are you doing?" Yeah. Like he was scared. He was whatever it was. Now, because we did the research, and that's a lot of what you said. Key. You have to know what's the standard for your dog, and then you have to learn your dog's behavior, and you have to spend a lot of time watching your dog, especially for us novice. I'm new at all of this. So I have to spend a lot of time watching him, learning his behaviors. D'Angelo sees it, everything. I'm like, how did he see that? So now I got to watch my dog. How did he see that? My dog got excited. Puppy is his daughter. So we were out the field training, for training. Puppy's in the crate, and she's going crazy like puppies do. She wants to be out and active. And he started responding to her. I didn't realize he was becoming aggressive. And he saw it, I didn't, and I realized I'm not watching my dog. I got to learn, and it's not, my dog has to be watched all the time. I have to learn my dog. And also what you said, when I would watch my dog, when I get to learn my dog, as I'm getting to learn his habits, what is he like, because he's very sensitive. So as I learned that, though, it builds a stronger bond with the dog, because now I know when he's laying down, when he wants to be bothered, when he doesn't want to be bothered. Because I want him to know that about me, I should know that about him. Anyway, once again, I'm doing it again, right? Here we go. I can't stop. I'm sorry.
One thing I will say, like with Diesel, what I've noticed, if he does something where he knew he wasn't supposed to do it, he'll punish himself and he'll go and put himself in a crate. Yeah. So like he'll get a hold of something. My wife says he went upstairs, and so she says, "Let me go see what he did." And sure enough, he's knocked something over. He's chewed on something he wasn't supposed to chew on, and he's in the crate looking at her like, "Hey, I'm here now. You don't have to punish me." So
I'm sorry.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Also, punishment. I'm gonna say this one point, and then I'm gonna pass it off to y'all. But when it comes to punishment, make sure you do it timely. Don't punish them for something that they did 20 minutes ago. It doesn't count. If you don't catch them in the act, just take the L, bro. Like,
Hey, set them up for failure. I do it all the time, man. Just you
Yep.
can set a dog up for if you know for a fact your dog wants a rotisserie chicken, and you put a rotisserie chicken on top of the counter. Just be prepared to do. I mean, would it be a prong collar or e-collar? But it'd be just physically moving the dog away. Whatever you have to do, whatever level of severity you need. If you know your dog does something and you catch it doing something, you can't react, but you can recreate at any point in time.
So, to piggyback now with the.
you go ahead. I know you had a question back there. But you go
Oh, okay. I just wanted the Diesel thing with him punishing himself, like putting him in the crate. Watch that, because as he gets older, he can be like, okay, I punished myself, and if you go try to pull him out or any of that type of stuff, it's gonna be a problem. Like that's like a common, like that's like a trait, like a characteristic that I see with dogs, and yeah, especially with a Roddy. So
Roddy's
you might want to watch
charge.
that.
Question. So we start off with the e-collar, and that's what that's what worked with the boxer. That's what worked with the bulldog. That's what worked with the other Roddy. With him, unless I don't have one that has no juice, get no response to it. Like you push the button and you do the beeping and the vibrating, and then you hit to the electricity. He's like, "What you want?"
What kind of e-collar?
I have to go back and see what brand it was, but it does the three different alerts, three different levels. Like I said, beeps, it vibrates, and then before it vibrates, then you can hit the shock.
You know how many levels your shock has on it?
Hell, it has like 99, I think.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes, like you were talking about, sometimes it might not be strong enough, and then also, which is in most cases, it's the positioning of the e-collar, so sometimes it may not be positioned correctly.
Okay.
or it might not be on tight enough.
Yep.
Or the dog might not know what it means yet.
Yep.
And we were just talking about that earlier. So that lab I was telling y'all about, the one that I was using the e-collar with, and he wasn't responding to it until we went like into the park. He was like, I had the joint juiced up, 99. I'm like, yo, what's going on? He's like, I don't know. But we get outside and we went to the park, and as soon as I tapped it, and I forgot I was on 99, I was like, dang, my bad, bro. And he responded like right then, so I had to dial it back. And shoot, I think I got him down to like 30, to where he was kind of like not like.
Like my other Roddy, man, you say, I'm going to go get the remote, and he do whatever you want. Like you sit down, or he'll go to the corners, like, yeah, I want none of that.
Yeah, I mean, so dogs are smart, man. Dogs are, I mean, so you get like very remote and e-collar savvy dogs. Some dogs will know, like, hey, if I shut down and just collapse when I get like a certain level of stimulation, it'll go away. Being able to comfortably teach exactly what an e-collar means is super important in the initial steps to make sure that it has meaning. Because some people see it as an aversive. Some people only use e-collars for, like negative reinforcement. And it's, to each your own. I do whatever it requires for that dog specifically. But making sure that, like, hey, just because you had another Rottie and you've had an English Bulldog that have responded to how you use that a certain way, knowing that this dog may not respond to it the same way, or it may not pick up on it as quickly. It may require a certain level of reinforcement, a certain level of value to those certain things, and how you use those training tools is always going to be a big deal.
He's like, I'm trying to get that boxer back.
We all got that one dog that
Everybody
actually
got
works.
one, yes. So the fellas will they'll be around for a little bit afterwards if anybody wants to chop it up with them and pick their brain a little bit further. But I do want to ask you guys, what is one command that you think every household should know?
I'll think go first. I want to say the same thing.
Yeah. It's like a double-edged sword, kind of. The dog's name.
The name?
Hey,
the
nah,
name
that's
is good.
Yeah.
That's a big
Name is
thing.
good.
Yeah, because most dogs that I see, they do not know their name. Like, I got a 3-year-old dog at the house that I'm doing a boarding train right now. He does not know his name, and it's like, okay. So the first thing I teach him is a name and then a recall. But yeah, name is like the absolute because it gains attention. It can be a recall. It can go to everything else. So I would say name.
That's an underrated answer. I'm gonna go with implied stays. I hate the idea of a stay command. Of like, I tell my dog to sit, and then I have to tell it to stay, so it doesn't break that command. I want every command that I have that is a stationary position, whether it be like going onto a place, whether it be going into a sit, a down, whatever the position is. You do not break from that command until you get a release command. So just the teaching an implied stay for any stationary command that you do is always going to be like the number one thing for me.
I would say recall, whatever my recall word is, just to get my dog to come back to me. But again, it needs to know his name.
That's a good answer.
That's a good answer. What's up?
Okay. My question is, how do you disassociate a word with a command that you didn't even try to make a command? For example, I have a lot of companies. So they knock on the door, say, come in. My dog used to sit, but one day I said, come in, without nobody knocking. Now he runs to the door. Was at my mama's house. She said, come in. Now he runs to the door. Like, it wasn't even taught. He just know that word. So what tips can be given to, I guess, disassociate that word with him running to the door?
Well, you
There's a lot
got
of ways to attack that.
yeah, it's a couple ways, but like instead of like you're gonna have to go back and like teach something else opposite of that. So like maybe you can send him to a place command or something like that. Like whenever he hears the door, instead of him going straight to the door. But come in, that's probably you can say the word come in, he runs to the door. Instead of him going to the door, he can go to the place now. So then you can kind of try to go back and like rework it that way. That's what I would do, personally.
Okay. I mean, a place command. A place command is the best command to have in your house
Yeah.
in general. Doing that, like, just and this is I teach a lot of like reactivity stuff. So when it comes to like doorbells and people knocking on doors and doing stuff like that, having a place command and once again like setting your dog up. So have your dog go to a place and then do what you would do as if somebody's coming in. Have somebody go outside, a friend, a family member. I don't know what your household looks like, but recreate those situations where you're like, hey, come in. Your dog doesn't leave that spot. If he gets up, put it back on the spot. Just redirect it until it gets to the point where you can receive enough repetitions that doesn't mean anything to the dog. Because what's happening now is that the dog is hearing something, you know, the same way you teach a command. It hears those words come in or whatever and is getting rewarded when it goes to the door, when it meets new people, when it's getting that interaction and stuff like that. So essentially you're having, like he said, backtracking to the point where this command or what it's associating with at this point doesn't actually mean anything. So just essentially teaching it the same way, like we tell you guys not to say sit, 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 sit. Say come in, and to the point where it means absolutely nothing to the dog is the best way. And I mean, that's the way I would go about it.
Yeah.
I was great point from both of them. It's probably one of the best ways to do it, disassociate the door. Other than that, I would probably, since you're using come anyway, I would try to get the dog to come to me versus going to the door. Since you're using the word come in, I would probably start trying to put more emphasis on the word come instead of in, because I'm sure in is what the dog is responding to. So if you can maybe lower it, or instead of saying come in, just come. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. It'll take a while, but you'll find like you said, disassociated. Place obviously is a great one. If he knows that come in means go sit over there, so that somebody can come in. Once he understands that association, that'll be fantastic.
And add the value to the command. Like if you're gonna teach place,
Yeah.
reward on place, not after he gets off of place.
Yep. All right. Any other questions? Gary, you good back there? You got a question? No questions? All right.
Y'all still didn't tell me how to get that dog out my face when I sitting in front of me staring at me.
Place command.
Your place command.
The fact that your dog's staring at you, you need separation in general. Whether it be your crate, your place, whatever, it needs to move.
He been doing that since he was a puppy.
Yeah, you've been letting it happen
Yeah, he's
since you was a
two-
puppy.
yeah.
2 years old.
Yeah, it's 2 years of repetition.
Only difference is the face got bigger now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's 2 years of the same thing, so you
Yep.
got to think about how you break 2 years of a cycle. I stare at my dogs all the time, like they know. Like my wife, she'll sit there, she'll eat. They can be right beside her. Don't come near me. Don't be near me. Don't none of that. Go over there.
Yep.
And but they ain't mess with. I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't mess with them when they eating.
Exactly.
Don't come bother me while I'm eating. Go sit over there, and then they'll go sit, lay down with their back to me or something like that. Like I hurt their feelings, but.
Man.
It's a half-hearted. When I do give him a look. I give him to him, back it up, and he'll go sit. My couch is here, my table is here. And he'll literally go, I say, back it up, and he'll go lay down right there. But he's still looking at me the whole time. And then after a while, he'll stand back up and back him up.
So what's your criteria? Man,
So
Sound like you didn't correct him for getting back up.
bro,
sorry.
there's
He
in
doing that food.
y'all's bag, there should be a half a card, and it talks about the steps to break. This is how I break down every dog training. All right, with these steps. Step number 2 is criteria. Like you have to set the criteria. What does it look like for you? If you give your dog a command and you say back up, how far is back up? Because if he took a scoot back, he did what you asked him to do. How far do you need him to go? Once you set that line, now you have something to work with. Does that make sense?
it does.
Okay. All right.
It actually, as you started saying, I go, oh, yeah, I'm not saying how to, I'm saying
Yeah,
something.
you just saying back up, like okay.
The
Cool.
question that I have is, how do you teach that? So I want to reteach him what back it up means, and I want him to back up to a certain distance. So I'll set the distance, which would be around the table, off to the side of the table. That's fine. How do I now teach that to him?
The same way you would teach him any other command, right? So once you establish where he needs to be, reward where he is. Got it? If I'm saying, if I need you to give me 50 feet, give me 50 feet, back up.
Yeah.
Give me 5 feet, back up, right? If I say back up and the dog is backing and retreating, once it gets there, mark, yes, pay, mark and reward. That's what it is.
And if you want to teach a backup command, like you can do that, but I know you got a place command that could save you a lot of time.
He said, as your trainer, there's
Yeah,
other things
you
you
know,
have currently.
I'm just assuming you got a place command, and I think it looked pretty good a couple weeks ago when you were at the session, but that would be my suggestion, if I was your trainer,
The part of it that I don't say is that my dogs, all of my dogs, when you said dogs are part of your family, they're not, I take them beyond the pet. So, I mean, I kind of like them,
You would like them there, but you don't want that close.
not when I'm eating. He's just not this.
But the dog don't know that.
No, I know. That's what I said. He's not. It's like I'm here. This is
Yeah.
okay. And for my wife, because he thinks he's a lap dog, and as I mentioned, he's 130 pounds. Yeah, he likes to jump up on her lap. As long as he's not doing that, she's happy with wherever he, whatever. Yeah, he's good. Even when he jumps on her, even that's not a big fight. But so he does have a place command. My trainer, I would recommend it. He's very good. He's an excellent trainer. I took my first dog. When he brought her back, I didn't know what to anticipate. I felt like he switched her with another dog because this was not the same dog I took.
That's good.
Yeah, no, that's 3 dogs now. This is my 3rd dog is with him. So, but
Yeah, life customer.
yeah. No. That's what I was looking at a presser. We were considering the presser, or my wife was looking at the what is it? The bauble? No, she didn't want the bauble. She wanted the big. What's that?
The North American man.
North American Master.
I like big dogs, bro.
Yeah. So I said, well, so we happened to see a bauble, a presser. And I said, oh, look at the presser. It's a beautiful dog. It's a puppy. So this dog is beautiful. She says, oh, man, we got to call Beatrice another dog. That's literally every dog we get. Yeah. But also, that's the part that people don't realize. When you send your dog for a board and train, the trainer will do all the things right. Have your dog behaving exactly what you want. But now you have to follow up, and you have to now train yourself to be able to work with the dog. And that's hard lesson you learn the hard way. Like like you become in training is a daily thing. It's not a once a week Saturdays we're going to train. It's every day. And teaching my son what training is, because you don't understand. I said you take him out for a walk, you're training. Sit, stay. We don't do stay. I think Bianco agrees with you on that 100%. I love it that you don't have to tell the dog to stay. I tell you sit, and that's enough. But telling my son, when you walk the dog, put him in a place, put him in a sit, and then just give him a little bit of time. But that's your training. It can take 5 minutes to take 15 minutes. You don't have to spend time focused on training. It's every day, every command, every time you reinforce the command, you become more disciplined, the dog becomes more disciplined, and it's a beautiful thing to look at when you watch someone walk with their dog, and the dog is confident, and the owner's confident, and there's no, you can have a leash, you don't have to have a leash, either way. I'm doing it again. Next time I'll sit up there with you.
Yeah, you come up here. Y'all go ahead, give them your closing remarks. Anything that they absolutely have to go home with today. If they don't know nothing else, what do they need to go home with today? Yeah, we start with AJ. A, B, D.
What are we doing again? Just close
Yeah,
remarks.
close your
Like I said before, my name is AJ. Follow me on Instagram at crosscheckk9. Biggest things I can send y'all home with is just having a balance when you train your dog. Realistic expectations. If you want your dog to do something, give it a reason to do it. Right? Pay it. Reward. 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 Always reward your dog for doing the right thing, but also be prepared to correct your dog when it doesn't do what you want it to. It's as simple as that. Dog training is really just focusing on the dog in front of you. Well, that's all I got. It was a pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
All right. I'm D'Angelo. Paw for K9 Services on everything, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everything. I will be rebranding soon, so it'll be RPK9 Academy, so that'll be switching soon. One thing I would like everybody to, I always say, make everything black and white with dogs. Like, this is this is that. Try to stay as much so, like, out of gray areas as you can. Even before you even get a dog, think of the purpose that you're actually getting a dog for, and make sure that whether it's a rescue or a breeder, making sure, or even, consult with somebody, like reach out to a trainer or something. You want to find the dog that's going to best fit the purpose that you actually want it for, per se. Because what I see a lot of people do is they get dogs that they didn't necessarily want. They thought they wanted, but they didn't do any research behind it, and they got something that was too much for what they actually wanted, or it wasn't enough. You want a protection dog, but it's scared of his own shadow. So just keep that in mind, and then while you're you have a puppy, you're molding the dog, and you're turning the dog into, you're literally molding the dog into what you want, but you have the genetics of that dog, so keep that in mind, and just keep the purpose in mind, and keep your goals and stuff in mind, and realize as you're building this dog out that you're constantly building like an end product. So think of like a car. You're building that car out from scratch, per se. And I would say that's pretty much it. Black and white, stay fair, stay consistent, and just enjoy your dogs. But I enjoyed this. I'm open to talk to everybody, so thank you.
I'm DC with Hazel's Den, and if I had to leave y'all with one thing today, it would be the leader that your whole house thinks you are. Be the leader that your whole house thinks you are, right? And take what you learn and apply it in other areas So just because you're not necessarily training the dog doesn't mean you can't train the family. All right, the same principles apply. All right, so find your line, make that your boundary, and work within it. But other than that, you can find us at Hazel's Den on all social media accounts. I am grateful for all of you guys being here today. Again, the Dog Dad campaign is a year-long campaign that my company is doing. We have 3 seminars. This is part 1 of a 3-part seminar. We're going to do control and engagement. Later this year, we're going to do control in June. We're going to have the engagement series in November. So stay tuned for those dates to drop. This summer, we'll have a few outings, so you can bring your dogs to those events. My bad. Yeah, man, looking forward to hearing from you guys. Stay tuned to your emails as well, because there will be a survey sent out for y'all to kind of give me some feedback of what we can do better for the next couple events. And again, the Dog Dad campaign is about bringing awareness, education, and style to men with dogs. All right, we go everywhere, we see dog mom everything. Right, it's about. I would like to have a shirt that say, Dog Dad on it, or a cup that says World Greatest Dog Dad, or a hat, Godfather. You know what I'm saying? Something crazy. But if y'all have any ideas or things that you want to see, any type of merchandise or apparel that you would wear, let me know. I'll put it up, and so I might be able to put your name on it on the site or something like that. You may be able to do something. Maybe work something. But if you guys want to, she still got stuff out there. Stop by the snack table again. Get your wife something. Don't go home with all this information in a full belly and them bringing it. Next Saturday is March 29th. We have the Cocoa Drip, which is a black women's owned vendor event. It's going to be in Durham at the Central Park. So we will be set up there at 3. It starts at 3. We will be there with products and doing all types of things. So if y'all just want to come out and show up, support, that would be dope. If y'all want to come check out the rest of the ladies that are in the area and that are coming to visit with the Cocoa Drip, that'd be dope too. All right. Cocoa Drip, it is a black women's own vendor event. So they set up tables and stuff. They'll be in a big location. Every black woman that you know with a soap, food, IVs, all of that. It might be. It is a food truck out there. But hey, there's a lady there's a lady that I'm ready to go by her stand. But yeah, that's that. It'll be next Saturday, March 29th at 3. We'll be there, so if y'all want to pull up, do so. All right. Yeah, you can bring your dog. You can bring your dog out there. Yes. If y'all want to snack some clients, you can do that too out there. Bring some cards. Yeah. All right. And that will conclude our session for today. I appreciate y'all for showing up. I do have the scoring key right here, so I'll hand this out and make sure y'all take these home and do your quiz on your family. Not your pets, on your family. All right.